next we're gonna move on to our panel discussion, which will be moderated by Dr. Marzia Bolpagni. She's the head of the BEAM International at MACE. She's also affiliated with the UCL, University of College London.
The
with
bar
that,
is massive.
Yeah, with that, I'll turn it over to you, Marzia.
Thank you very much for the invitation. And I would like also to welcome the different panelists that will be with us for the panel discussion. So we have the three keynote speaker that took part to the workshop today. So we have Dr. Eleni Papadonikolaki from UCL, then Frederick Bosch from University of Edinburgh. And we have also Dr. Yasutaka Furukawa from Simon Fraser University. And then we have one of the organizers, so Dr. Fuxilin from the Oregon State University. So I welcome everyone also to take their camera on, and so that everyone can see you. So we will start with the first question regarding the benefits and also the context. Even if this is the first time that we have been linking the computer visions and the let's say construction and civil engineering skills, there are some people that still they don't see the benefits on creating this link between these two domains. So I would like to ask you, where do you think and which are the main benefits on linking these two, so the computer vision and the civil engineering and construction domain? And I leave it open who would like to take the question to answer.
Maybe I can start. This is Yasu. This is maybe view from my experience as a researcher in computer vision. For the house again, the floor plan generation project I talked about today, the collaboration with Autodesk Research. And our collaborator is Autodesk is Chin Yi Chen. He started his career as an architect, then also interested in deep learning, and he really understands those techniques. So he's really the interdisciplinary expert who understands both. And it's actually my first time to be very successful in collaboration across kind of multiple domains, not the construction, but more design. The design in Autodesk products to the computer vision. In the past, I tried to work with one from construction, other domains, civil engineering, but usually not really close. So in our weekly meeting, we talk about really technical, very deep, which other side don't find really exciting. So usually collaboration don't really it's not sustainable. But this one, he understands really deep into design, what architects think, what artists think. But also understands our language. It's very effective to weekly meetings. And he often says that if we are going for this direction as research, but it actually doesn't matter. Architects don't really care. We switch direction. So I really want to see experts who understand both. It's really made, in my case, the collaboration successful with Autodesk.
Yeah, and where do you see the benefits of this collaboration, based on your experience regarding the result that you were able to achieve? So can you maybe elaborate more on the benefits?
Yes, so probably it's more about so if we do our work alone, they have some cool paper, but useless. The people don't really care. So it's more like our collaborator, the driver. Here, our efforts, the proper direction, which really has the biggest impact. So there are many papers which are kind of useless in my view, or maybe don't really matter, solve unnecessary problems. So they kind of provide a good guidance to what matters the most. That I found very effective.
Okay, so maybe it's also something that Derek also was mentioning in his presentation to make it relevant for the people in the construction sector to be able to actually use what the computer vision can offer in order to solve the problem. I would like, I don't know, so Eleni, if you want to add something based on your experience.
Yeah, what Yasu also described has to do a lot with boundary spanning. So essentially, boundary spanners are individuals who can speak to different domains and bridge different domains. And typically, these people, they're very beneficial for collaboration because they can translate knowledge to other individuals. So these are very valuable individuals for both the organizations, but also in academia. So most of the successful projects that we work, they come from essentially bridging different domains. And this is very relevant to what we're doing here today, having people from different backgrounds and different expertise to come and talk together and try to put new points for discussion for the future.
Yeah. Thank you. So, I remember again, everyone that is listened to put your question and other question in the Q&A, so then we can also ask you to do the question directly to our panelists. So feel free to add your question in the Q&A. So one question that we receive actually on the social media, why the workshop was happening from Halan Waha, was that a question regarding for what we should use computer vision for in the AEC domain, and what instead is not really fit for purpose. So in particular, he was asking, why to use computer vision to deal with the human workflow, and instead he was suggesting that we should use computer vision to enable more autonomous machine-led workflow. So I don't know if Fuxin, you would like to start to say something regarding this topic.
Yeah, I guess Fred would be a much better person to answer this, but I will offer my 2 cents first. I guess, so it's like, I just talk a little bit about our experience working on this challenge. So part of the thing was also this conversation between me, so I've always been just a computer vision person, never really worked for civil engineering before. And then when we talk with the civil engineers, so right now, the people here, like computer vision people, we have such a mindset that we build everything based on large data sets. And then if you don't have a large data set, then you don't have anything. And then you evaluate whatsoever on a large data set, and then you average all the numbers to get a final number, which kind of looks good. This is quite not the mindset of the civil engineers. So they are, I think people from civil engineering really like to see each building, and then they like to see how well we are doing on each building. And then it's like, is that exactly this wall? Is there a 5 centimeter difference, or it's like a 15 centimeter difference? So I think that's a totally different kind of mindset. So what I'm thinking is like these 2 mindsets kind of put together. I think we have things to learn from both sides. Like we can learn as computer vision people, we learn how to kind of care for more about individual buildings. Each building is different. And then from the civil engineering standpoint, they probably can learn a little bit about kind of, if you collect a lot of data, maybe you can learn something slightly better. I think there's more things that we can do. Now, other than the things we did in this challenge, there's a lot more things we can do. We're thinking about predicting attributes. We're thinking about predicting relationships. Yasu has talked about some of that. And then Fred has a lot of things in his pipeline as well. So I think there's many things. Basically, computer vision can just bring this data-based mindset, and that could benefit quite a few things, I think.
Yeah, thank you. I was waiting Fred to brief a little bit, but I think that Fuxin was asking about your opinion. So I hope that Fred, you would like also to share your vision regarding, is it what is working fine, and we need to continue to apply computer vision for in the construction and civil engineering domain, and what instead is not maybe working so well, and maybe we can use other techniques. So we would like to hear also from you, Fred.
I don't know. I think computer vision has actually a lot to give, and probably a lot more. I think And I'm not sure why distinguishing or why it's not valuable for human-centric workflow or robotic-centric workflow. I think it works for both. I think it's also. I think we also in the situation where digitalization of the industry is, it remains slow, and you have to deal with almost two parts of the industries that go at different pace, right? So you have some trailblazers that are highly digitalized and not necessarily always successful, as we've seen recently, and many others who maybe are a lot less digitalized. And there's probably a step, there's offering for both, and there is kind of like accompanying the industry towards more automated and maybe more roboticized processes. Where does computer vision stop? I don't know. I mean, I think always the big question mark that comes a lot these days is explainability. So I think that's going to be a big area of research, obviously. When at the moment I mean, in the short term, I think computer vision, especially all machine learning and deep learning based solutions they must certainly be used for supporting people, not for replacing people. So engineers have to deal with so much data and complex data and very fuzzy data. And so I think computer science broadly and computer vision for related applications can really help engineers identifying what is important to data, what is standing out in the data, what they should be paying attention to. I'm talking to actually I'm a bit like MS Eleni. I'm also director of an MSc program, which is about leading major programs. Actually, nothing to do with computer vision really, but I suspect there's a lot of stuff from computer science, computer vision that could well be relevant there and useful, because dealing with projects is so fuzzy. There's so much heterogeneous data. There's so much noisy data. I think it's ideal. Like there's so much value it can bring.
Thank you. No, very good point. And maybe you continue on this topic about the data sets and the challenges that we are having at the moment. I would like maybe to ask Yasu maybe to answer to one of the first questions that we received in the Q&A that were from an anonymous person in the audience. And it was how the question was, how as a community we could contribute in the creation of a bigger data set, even bigger than Matterport. So first of all, we would like to ask, do we need a bigger data set as a starting point? And can we leverage the existing one? And we would like to know a little bit your opinion on this in order to answer to this question that came. Is it something that I think that from different presentation today, starting from the one from Derek at the beginning, we spoke about the challenges of having this data set. So it's a big problem still for the industry. So yeah, so I would like to know, Yasu, what do you think about that?
Yes, so great question. So I think the current Matterport, I think maybe 90 houses or so. I think it's small. We need a bigger, but maybe compared to the image domain, the ImageNet, that requires massive amount of data for training. I often observe that the geometry data requires much less training data. So say classically image classification, you may need 100,000 samples for supervised training. And we initially tackled the computer vision techniques for geometry data. We worried about 100,000, but we could train maybe less than 1,000. A few orders of magnitude more efficient. Simply geometry data is maybe less variant as opposed to image data, which is more rich. So we don't have to have lots of data like ImageNet, but still Matterport is small, so have to expand. And I think it's very difficult to expand, get good data through communities or crowdsourcing, very hard. So another question from the audience was, how do you get data from industry? Also difficult. I worked with many companies And because they want to solve some problem, I kind of maybe have some techniques to do, but they talk to me. So we talk to each other, they give me some data, but for public sharing, they usually say no, or limited amount. It's very difficult. Almost all the cases, I cannot convince them to share everything, massive amount. So unfortunately, I don't have a good solution with the community. It seems very difficult. Also, you don't own houses, so you can really go there and scan houses for real estate. The building under construction you do not own, so you can just go there and take data. So we have to rely on, so far in my view, some big company share data. To me, that's the way, which is happening for the floor plan. Say Lightful from Japan or Kujala in China have pretty large database for 2D floor plan. And for maybe real 3D, I think similar things should happen. Some big company, some decide to make big company, doesn't have to worry about being beaten by other company, more in dominating position, deliver big data. And I think that's more like a direction I think we are going to see.
Thank you. Yeah, and I saw that indeed there is this question from Thomas in the panel. That so that so Fred would like to say something. How we can get the data from the industry partners, and Thomas is asking also how we can face the concern regarding intellectual properties, and that maybe might be a blocker in this direction. So Frederick, if you'd like to add something to what has been said.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it's a big issue. I mean, it's. There is data, so it's not like there isn't data. Actually, there are data sets out there in industry. So it's not a matter of convincing them to acquire the data. It's actually convincing them to share the data. And very often they don't. Some of them might know they have value, but they don't necessarily realize. I give you an example. I came across a company who does cheap, let's say cheap renovation provider, like design provider, and they have hundreds of scans of houses in the UK, and they've created a Revit model for each one of them. So they have a labeled data set essentially that is available for training machine learning, right? And they're willing to share it for research with one organization, but I don't think they'll be willing to share it openly for many people. Partially because there could be I mean, they have legal concerns around, you know, if an issue is found in their design, for example, then they could be exposed, kind of thing. So there is it's more than just putting a box inside of a picture and say I put a label to it. I think it could have much more implications for them. But there are data sets that have occurred. I mean, I think now, like one of the first areas I've seen computer vision was crack detection and essentially concrete defects and pavement defects. And now the data sets exist. So they've, you know, initially there was not very much. And now if you submit a paper in automation construction and you don't use the data sets, there's no point. It's like this is expected you use this stuff. So you know, I think other domains will come. I think the Matterport is a good one. I think ISPRS also has a really good data set. There was one that came out of Stanford as well. So there are data sets that are developing slowly and are becoming available. What is interesting to know, for example, is whether there are domains where there is absolutely no data set, and how we can try to start collect that. I'm a member of IARC. I'm the current president of IARC, the International Association for Automation, Robotics, and Construction, and that's actually a subject that we are keen to try to support, actually, because we can reach out to lots of people internationally, so we can try to help, I don't know, facilitate this.
That is very good. Thank you, Fred, for you know, showing that actually there are people that are willing to share and is maybe to find those people, and it's good that you have some contacts so you can also share a good story. So as the next question, I would like to ask from the Q&A, there is a question from Mayur Mistry that I would like him to open the microphone and ask the question directly to our panelists if it's possible. So you should be able to have your microphone open, and please feel free to ask the question to the panel.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was an amazing workshop. So I'm curious to know like thoughts on how we can take this to implementation for future research work. So can you recommend some resources or platforms, and how like students who are quite interested in this area can do more work?
Thank you. So I don't know who would like to answer. Fuxin, do you have any suggestion? Based also on your experience.
I can start from the domain which is close to mine. I do reconstruction, say from sensor data to say CAD model. Not really BIM quality yet for those kinds, a bit of advertisement. But we run the holistic indoor modeling workshop, usually ICCV, CCV cycle, not CVPR. So we have a website to all the links to database, data sets or code. If you're interested in those kind, we have another workshop specifically for reconstruction tasks in CAD level. So these are good resources. And also this workshop has the challenges, great data. It's very difficult to find other places. So probably you can point to some other places where you can find good resources to start.
Yeah, thanks, Yasu, for that. I was about to suggest your data set and yeah, and that. So, well, I've already put everything I have on the website, and then also in the opening slides, we pointed to some other data sets. So I think one of the things is data sets, and then another thing is the techniques. There has been a significant amount of deep learning techniques used, some of them in the problem of 3D recognition and reconstruction, but there is also a significant amount in autonomous driving. I mean, probably a lot more in autonomous driving. So that could also be something that people can look at. There's a lot of data sets. There's Semantic Kitty. There is, I mean, a lot of this driving, Berkeley driving, and all that data sets. In terms of techniques, a lot of them, I think, too many people are focused on autonomous driving, which is part of the reason I think we should do something else and work more in the civil engineering case. But in terms of methodology, there's a lot over there as well.
Thank you very much. I have now a question from Elaine.
Can I add something?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
I guess I think there are two, we have two audiences. So this is more a computer vision kind of question, but one of the things that I wouldn't want to see is that people who have a civil engineering background, construction background, feeling overwhelmed by the computer vision challenges, because people in computer vision, and you know, this is their day-to-day stuff, and they are expert there. But I think Derek I think it was Derek who actually made that point, was that you need to really think about the use case and how this is going to be used in practice. And I think there's a lot of interesting research to be done there. At the end of the day, you could have an excellent algorithm that works really well on data sets, etc. But then when you actually want to use this in practice, you face different kind of challenges and other things, and then you need to start to trade off. So I think there's good, you know, it's good to actually approach some of these problems with the knowledge they bring about civil engineering, about construction. You know, they bring that kind of knowledge. So there's a kind of the idea of coming from both sides.
Yeah, and I think that the next question that I would like to ask, in particular to Eleni, that she already introduced this topic during her talk, is about education. And now really we can create this workforce and this talent. And I think that was part of the question that Mayu was also asking. You know, I'm a student. I would like to be an expert on this domain. what I need to do, where I need to start, and which kind of sources I need to look for. And I think that having this kind of workshop that we had today is a great starting point. But I would like to hear maybe Elenius, because you have experience in creating new MNC's courses. So if you want to share also some suggestion from the audience that we have today.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Marja. Thanks, Mayur, for the question. Actually, if I also add to the previous question, I think also hackathons is a great resource. Now, of course, because of COVID, these are taking place online. So with hackathons, the good thing is that you can build some skills if you join them, and the problems, they're already there because there are already some use cases or some problem owners who might bring something to the context of the hackathon in order to frame it. And also it's a great start to meet people who have similar essentially ideas or concerns or interests like you have. So I've seen my students also going to hackathons because they are extracurricular, so they're not part of our curriculum, but this is something that brings them a lot of benefit because they meet also industry people and they understand a lot about the industry from that. So that's a good resource. Whenever you find hackathons adjoined to conferences or just try to join them, it might take some time, a couple of days of your time, but it's very useful. And also I think outside higher education, there's a lot of resource, especially the last 10 years with MOOCs, massive online, open online courses. There are a lot of opportunities to start learning some skills on your own. Always my suggestion is to learn by doing, so have like a small challenge or a small project to help you test these skills. So definitely there's so many resources outside, especially for those who like to do things and not necessarily to read stuff, to read papers or books. There are a lot of things to learn hands-on if you look around.
Thank you, Eleni. Yeah, because Mario was saying that it's still difficult to find source, at least on his experience. So sometimes it's also, if you're at the beginning, it's difficult if you don't have a guide to help you in this journey. Maybe people from the construction background, maybe it's easily for them to give up. So I think that this is leading maybe to the next question that I have for you in general, is that what is missing? So today is one of the first time that we are linking the computer vision with the civil engineering construction domain. Which are the next steps? What you would like to see moving forward? You know, it can be create some guidance, establish, you know, a community that, as we are doing now, having more like the discussion workshop and so on. What do you think that will benefit, you know, the continuation of this work moving forward? Who would like to answer? Feel free to do so.
I can contribute something there because this is something we are developing right now in IARC. Now, this is especially, I guess, well, I don't know, I'll develop on this, but the IARC organization is now setting up a number of chapters around the world. We already had 2 chapters, or actually 3 chapters, but there's probably going to be 10 by the end of the year. And these chapters, they are really aimed at creating focal points, typically in universities, where students in civil engineering and computer science essentially join and work in problems that are essentially applied computer vision, applied computer science, and we hope that this can offer a place for people to actually promote construction and civil engineering as a domain where these skills are needed, because people often actually don't even realize that this is a place where we can definitely use those skills. And then also engage local communities, maybe develop hackathons like Eleni was suggesting here, or other ideas. So for example, in Edinburgh, we'll start a IARC chapter now. And we have a number of ideas of things. And the chapter will be linked to the Edinburgh Center for Robotics. So it's not going to be just floating on its own. It's actually going to be linked, and we hope to be able to draw in interest from the robotics community. So I don't know if there is anything similar happening elsewhere, but at least this is driven by the construction community itself, like construction civil, probably.
Yeah. That is great. And we are going to the end of this panel discussion, and I would like to know from Yasu and Fuxin, from a computer vision point of view, what you would like to be told by the civil engineer expert at the beginning, because I think that this is communication issue some of the time. So what you would like to learn and to know from the expert in the domain of the construction sector. And then I will do the same question to Frederick and Eleni on the vice versa, what you would like to learn on the needs from the computer vision experts. So Fuxin, if you would like maybe to say something, and Yasu about what you would like to know more about the construction sector expert.
Yeah, so I think we like the most to know what they want, right? What people would like to have. And so there's a lot of things we discovered during the process of preparing the challenge, right? So for example, 1 centimeter level accuracy. This is something that I never imagined in the past as a computer vision person. They really are emphasizing that the difference cannot be larger than 1 centimeter. We are still very far from that place, right? And then there is a lot of topological issues. I think someone in the Q&A mentioned pipes as well. Pipes is also something that we are looking forward to next year in terms of measuring their topological accuracy, like whether the pipes are connected, and then things like that. Those things are not really measured usually in computer vision. So I think there's a lot that we can learn. And then there is also a lot of probably new challenges for computer vision people, like how do you actually clean up data? And then there's potentially more automatic ways to clean up data rather than manual ways to clean up. So there's a lot. So we'd like to learn what kind of challenges are there and what can we do to help solve those challenges.
That is really good regarding which are the challenges and the type of accuracy in this case, and which are our priorities when we need to face those problems. I don't know, Yasu, if you want to add something also on this.
Yes, I pretty much agree with the Fuxin. I want to know what matters. I know that often we can write good papers, but likely don't matter. So I try my best not to go there, but I guess many people go there because CVPL papers are shiny, gold mine. But I try not to go there. So this is not possible in the current virtual format, but maybe say next year, physical format. Actually, I want to talk to somebody who are in the domain, ask which paper you like. Because I often say, oh, this paper, I don't understand why they should care about this problem. I often say this to my students. And likely people on the civil engineering side read our papers and feel that way. Oh, why they are doing this? Useless. So I want to hear such thing. Maybe I shouldn't ask which paper you hated it, but maybe I should ask which paper you like. So I get to know what problem, what thing they care about. Of course, if they tell me this is a problem which they care about, please solve. That's the best. But also maybe which papers you liked in this conference when they physically meet and talk about. That's also good to know.
Good. So get feedback. And really to close this panel discussion, I would like to hear from Fred and Eleni, which are the issues and the challenges that you would like to be solved next. So these today, with this workshop and challenges regarding scan to bin, which are the next steps or other topics that you would like to be solved and work together with the computer vision in the future? If there is any priorities or topic that you think that
I know one thing I can say is called GPR. So essentially, we are getting very, very good, thanks to you guys and all your work, at modeling what is visible. What we really need to become good at now is to sense and model what is not visible, what is behind the wall, especially what is underground. We're starting getting better sensors, ground penetrating radar, but the data is so crazy and it's so hard, and even the experts are challenged. And I think it's a fantastic computer vision problem. And I think I'm no expert in that field at all, but I suspect people would enjoy that. So that's certainly an area that I could see. Otherwise, regarding your previous question, I was going to say, computer vision people who are interested to contribute to construction civil, if you are a suspect from academia, call up your civil engineering department and say you would like to give them a presentation. And tell them what you've been doing, what you do, and try not to be too overly technical, but certainly, engage, because I think it's having this communication will. I'm sure there'll be somebody in the room at the end that'll come to you and say, what about this or what about that? And then you'll start learning about the challenges and what can be done. So do approach them and offer a talk.
It's a very good point, to be proactive and really don't be shy, but contact the civil engineering, the department if you are in a university, and start having those conversations. Eleni, if your final remarks on this topic, on the future of this collaboration.
Yeah, thanks, Marcia. I think there is a bit of room to understand more the work of architects, because we're talking a lot about digital technologies, and there are already a lot of tools such as BIM and so on. But with architects, because they are in creative industry, as we are saying, creativity is very important for them. So sometimes the tools such as the BIM tools, the BIM design tools, they don't offer so much creativity, especially at the beginning of the expression. The work of Yasu was very interesting, actually. So it made me want to play. So I went to the website and I played a bit. So it was very interesting to see, because all these ideas that can help the creative expression, but also the other hand side, support the digital thread. They're very important, because the architects, they are the first people when we're designing an asset that put the first line of the first wall or the first entity. And it's important that then this information is retained across the life cycle of the asset. So I think there is a lot of work to be done in that area as well.
Thank you very much. And I would like to thank you, all the panelists and all the attendees, that for your questions. And if there is something that we didn't have time to answer, we will be back to you privately. So I will now give the word to Yelda in order to conclude our workshop. Thank you again to everyone.
Great,
Thank you, Marzia.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.